My name is Patrick Griffey, the Associate Director of Discipleship here at Covenant, and this is Wednesday Rewind. This past Sunday, we looked at the topic of anxiety in our ongoing series based off of the movie Inside Out. We're looking at different emotions and what they tell us. Emotions aren't inherently sinful. They're just kind of warning signs that point us towards something greater. Now for me, anxiety is probably my pet sin, if I can be honest. And it all started with a realization that came in October. So my wife Candace is a big fan of a speaker named Sissy Golf. She runs an organization in Nashville, Tennessee called Raising Boys and Girls. Along with her partner, Dave Thomas, they do incredible work with parenting, with children, all of the above. And really their focus is mental health. They're clinical counselors, and they're giving strategies, tips, and tricks on how to raise boys and girls. So I knew Candace really liked Sissy Golf, and so for her birthday, we went to a conference. Now, Friday night was about anxious parenting, with Saturday morning about raising anxious kids. And about halfway through the session on Friday night, I found myself in tears. Never thought myself to be an anxious person, but they were reading my mail. I realized, holy cow, I have a lot of anxiety in my life. I always thought of it as being cautious or being aware, but it was anxiety, and it was causing me to fall into the trap of our other emotions. My anxiety was causing fear. My anxiety was causing anger. It was causing depression. Those things were coming out of balance because of my anxiousness. And one of the tips that I learned, which has helped me a lot, to not fixate or ruminate, or to limit myself to 3 questions. Now, I'm a questioner. I want to know how things work. I want to know the inside outs of things. And sometimes when you ask questions, you just have more questions based off the answer you're given. And so I learned, don't ask as many questions, to trust the Lord. And I think one of the passages in Scripture that I look at, especially when thinking about anxiety, was mentioned on Sunday by Darren. It's this passage of Jesus in the garden. Now for me, my anxiety is rooted in the unknown. I don't always know what is coming. And that can be scary at times. I want to know what's going on, so I ask a lot of questions. And so many times I'm anxious about something that probably will never happen. I know for me personally, sometimes, I just told my wife about this. Anytime our sweet daughter is running, all I can think about is, oh my goodness, she's going to fall and she's going to bust her lip. That's all I can think about while she's running. I'm not enjoying the present moment. I'm not enjoying that my daughter likes to go run outside and play like a little kid. All I'm thinking about is the worst case scenario. That's where my mind goes. And with Jesus in the garden, he is facing the worst case scenario. Where my anxiety is rooted in speculation, his is rooted in the reality. He knows what's coming. He's told his disciples what's coming. So his anxiety is not irrational like mine can be so many times. His is real. He is facing the reality that in hours he's going to be mocked, humiliated, spit upon, beaten, bloodied, ultimately nailed to a cross and murdered. His is not irrational. But what is teachable and what is telling about Jesus in the garden is what he does with that anxiety. And I want to read from this passage in Luke. And this is Luke 22, verses 39 through 44. He came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he reached the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not come into the time of trial." Then he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, knelt down and prayed, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done. Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and gave him strength. In his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like drops of blood falling down on the ground. Now, Jesus Christ is obviously under great duress and great stress. We see that an angel of the Lord comes and comforts him in this time. He knows what's about to happen. And then at anxiety, what does he do? He prays. He talks to the Father. He takes his burdens. He takes his concerns to God. And he even goes as far to say, please take this away from me. If there's any other way, Father, please take this away. I know what's about to happen. Please. But he trusts God. He relents to God's authority, to God's will. He says in his humanness, not my will, but yours be done. Again, so many times my anxiety is rooted in something that I've just created. It might not happen. It might happen, but it might not. Darren mentioned the statistic on Sunday that 92% of things that we worry about aren't things that we can even control, and they don't happen. Only 8% of the things that we can worry about are even things that we can change. So in your stress and your anxiety, what is it causing you to do? We talked about anger. Anger demands a reaction. Anger causes us to move. It causes us to do something. What does anxiety cause us to do? For me, I've been guilty of it freezing me at times, like fear or sadness, or I seclude myself. Or maybe it does cause anger. But in Jesus' time of stress, his time of anguish, where he's experiencing this anxiety over what is to come, what he does is he takes it to the Father. And he's honest. He asks for it to be taken away. And the Father doesn't relent. And so what does Jesus do? He accepts it. He's obedient to the cross. We're praying for you this week. There's a lot going on that can cause anxiety, that can cause stress. The other emotions we looked at can cause anger, depression, sadness, fear. It can get heavy sometimes, but we are here for you. We love you and we are praying for you. Join us this week as we finish up our series on Inside Out, looking at emotions as we discuss envy.